Let's take a look at the chart action for Bitcoin. I cleared out my chart and we're going to go through this from scratch. So we have resistance, 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 support, support. Let's go ahead and set up some trend lines. We're on the daily time frame right now, and we had a top something like this, and then we had a bottom something like this. I was waiting for a breakout to the upside or to the downside, and we got a breakout to the upside. What I was doing after that was targeting from the top to the bottom of this triangle or channel pattern. Could drag from the top to the bottom, something like this. Drag this to the breakout, and I was looking at a target of approximately 53,600, 700, somewhere around there. The other thing I was watching is this uptrend. We had an uptrend, something like this. I'm on the daily time frame, and we have one on the daily and the 4-hour, in my opinion. We have support, support on the daily. Let's go ahead and draw that line. Something like this. And then we also have on the 4-hour time frame, we had another uptrend. We had support, support, support. Let's go ahead and do that uptrend as well. I was looking at something like this, and I was saying if we break this uptrend going to the downside, what I'm hoping is we can get a bounce on this previous resistance line that could maybe turn into support. The other thing I was watching is, like I said, this other trend line right here. So until we break this top resistance and this lower trend line, then I'm still thinking that it's possible that we could get a bounce. It does look like we're kind of bouncing right now, but we're gonna have to wait and see. I'm still on the 4-hour time frame, and I'm looking at this resistance, and this resistance. We had a kind of like a top, something like this, and then we also had this downtrend, something like this. If we can break this downtrend going to the upside, maybe we could come back and retest this second trend line, or this first one. Right now, it does look like we're trending down though. Like I said, I'm hoping that we can get a bounce on this previous resistance right here, and maybe it'll turn into support. Maybe we can start bouncing to the upside. I think if we do break this trend line and this support line going to the downside, then we can start looking at the previous support levels. There's a couple ways that I'm doing this. Let's say we continue to head down. If we go into the daily time frame, let's go ahead and just delete everything since we're kind of trending down, and we're gonna just try to find out spots of support. We have support right here and support right here. These are two spots that I'm looking at if we break that bigger uptrend. This one right here. Let's go ahead and put a horizontal line at this first one, and then we'll put another one. We'll copy and paste and put one right here. These levels are sitting at 41,000 and 37.7 thousand. Like I said, we haven't broke this uptrend going to the downside yet, but if we do, these are the spots that I'll be looking at. Or the other thing that I was kind of looking at is we could do a Fibonacci retracement from the bottom of the trend to the top of the trend. Let's say hypothetically that this was the top and we are going to break through it. The other spots that we could look at are possibly a Fibonacci retracement level, something like this, top to the bottom. I like watching the 38% level and the 50% level. These lines right here. In my opinion, these are some other spots that we could maybe put some horizontal orange lines for possible limit orders. The top one is sitting at 44.1K, and then the second one is 42.8K. I like looking at these Fibonacci retracement levels because when we're in downtrends, sometimes we come down, hit those Fibonacci retracement levels and bounce to the upside, or we bounce in between the Fibonacci retracement levels, something like this. I mean, it really just depends. I think the main things that I'm watching is this uptrend on the daily time frame, and then we got the Fibonacci retracement levels and these previous supports on the daily. So the 4-hour time frames, the 4-hour time frame Fibonacci retracement levels is 44.1K and 42.8K. On the daily time frame, if we start breaking it even more decisively, then maybe 41K or 37.7K. The other thing I'm watching though is, like I said, this downtrend. We have resistance, resistance. Let's go ahead and set up these downtrends again. We have one like this, and then we also have that top, something like that from the first two, from these 2 points right here. Like I said, I like watching these Fibonacci retracement levels because sometimes we'll come down, hit them, and then get a bounce, and maybe get rejected at the red line, or we come up and we can actually break through it. The other thing I'm watching, or the other thing that I'm kind of hoping still is, like I said, on the daily time frame, we have that resistance and resistance and resistance that I was watching from at the beginning. Let's go ahead and set up that trend line again. I'm still kind of hoping that we can get a bounce on this resistance line right here. It was resistance, but let's see if it can turn into support and we can actually bounce on it. So in general, if we keep heading down, I'm going to be looking at these orange levels, but I'm still kind of hoping that we could get a bounce on this trend line and this previous resistance trend line as well. Maybe this resistance can turn into support and we could actually get a bounce. If we start breaking these downtrends going to the upside, maybe that'll give us an idea that we're starting to head back up. I do think we need to break this top to start heading higher though. The other thing that I've been talking about, or the other thing that I've been looking at, if we go to the daily time frame, I was watching this resistance and this resistance. I was saying we need to clear these areas before we can actually come up and hit the target. So let's go ahead and set up those horizontal red lines. One right here and one right here. This first one was sitting at 47.7K. This is where we got rejected on and we're starting to head down, or we got a little pullback. And then the next one is sitting at 50,844. If we could break this red horizontal line or this top right here, then maybe we could get more confident on coming up to this 50,844 resistance. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to get support and we're going to get a bounce, or if we're going to break the trend line going to the downside. But these are just some of the levels that I'm watching and some of the things that I'm kind of keeping my eye on. If you're new to trading, check out this video right here. It's a video about when I buy and sell and some of the strategies that I used in this video. Alright, if you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one.